Bradford City begin their 2025-26 EFL Trophy campaign with a home clash against David Artell's Grimsby Town. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have gotten so far this season, what my starting 11 would be for this game if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. But my team Bradford City, we currently sit third in the League One table. After 6 matches, we've got 4 wins, 2 draws and 0 defeats. There is a real possibility that we should be 6 games, 6 wins. We have had an outstanding start to the season when we have scored 10 goals and conceded 6. It leaves us on a positive 4 goal difference and 14 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a win, a draw, a win and a draw. Them last couple of matches have then been a 3-2 win at home to AFC Wimbledon. Not the prettiest of watches to say there was 5 goals in this one, but it was a very different type of victory. It wasn't total domination, it wasn't high pressing football, it was dogged, gritted, determined, and we got the job done in the end. I've seen a lot of Wimbledon fans very unhappy in the manner of our goals, but sometimes you've got to create your own luck, and if you apply pressure then teams are going to make mistakes, especially at this level, and it was always nice to pick up another 3 points, especially at Valley Parade. We also had a 3-0 win away at Stoke City, one of the best performances I've seen in a number of years. We were outstanding in this game from start to finish. A lot of Stoke fans again in this one giving us no credit, saying they made loads of changes. Well, we made loads of changes. There's only really 1 or 2 players in the outfield starting 11 that are regular league starters for Bradford City, but an outstanding performance from us, and always nice again to get through into the next round where obviously we're playing against Newcastle United. We also had a very frustrating 1-1 draw away at Peterborough United. To be leading for so long in the second half, it's always frustrating to concede in injury time of the second half. It certainly didn't feel like there was 28 shots between the two teams in that game. It was a bit of a nothing affair, not really much quality on show. We'd made a load of changes for this game, so we were kind of a bit more fresh for the Stoke match, and I think it did kind of show a little bit because it wasn't the most entertaining of football matches. We also had a 2-1 win away at Stockport County. First half, they completely played us off the park. They absolutely battered us, but we stuck in the game, made a tactical tweak at half-time, went to 2 up front and scored 2 very well taken goals in the second half. Stockport were a very good side, and like I say, in that first half, they could have been 4 or 5 goals up at half-time, but we stuck in there. Again, that grit, determination to just get through and just see it through. We got through to half-time, and in the second half, our quality did shine through. And we also had a 2-1 victory at home to Luton Town. Stephen Humphries scoring his first goal in Bradford City colours. Bobby Poynton getting our second just 3 minutes into the second half. Again, we do concede quite late on in that one. A bit of a frustrating goal to concede. It was just a cross into the box and a very simple, great header into the back of the net. But it was a game that we did deserve the 3 points in. And what a start to the season it's been. I did a video over on the main channel for Tier 3 channel members talking and reviewing our month of August. I don't think we'll get a month as good as that for the rest of the season. We've had an outstanding start. Compared though to Grimsby Town, they currently sit 8th in the League 2 table. After 6 matches, they've got 3 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat, where they have also, similar to us, scored 10 goals and conceded 6. That leaves them on a positive 4 goal difference and 11 points. Their last couple of matches then have been a loss, a draw, a win and a draw. In terms of them last couple of matches then, on Saturday they had a 1-0 defeat at home to Bristol Rovers. A very well taken goal, to be fair, from Macaulay Salvin Hills. It doesn't look like the most entertaining of matches. Grimsby dominated possession and had more shots, but Bristol Rovers were a little bit more clinical on the day. There was no Jamie Walker or Clark Adore in the starting 11. We did see Rhys Staunton and Charles Vernon both start on the left-hand side. I think Clark Adore was a 91st minute substitute in this game, which is very interesting, but they've got 4 of our former players. Grimsby fans, let me know down below, how seriously do you normally take the EFL trophy, and will any of our former players feature in tomorrow's game? Obviously Clark Adore, I would assume, wouldn't be able to, with him obviously being on loan from us at this moment in time. They also, we're going to have to scroll down, I'm not sure why it didn't particularly load there, but they obviously had the big 2-2 win at home to Manchester United, winning 12-11 on penalties. There was some late drama in that one. Obviously the stats are heavily in favour of Manchester United, but that is a night which I'm sure will live long in the memories of Grimsby Town fans. It's not the Manchester United of 10-15 years ago under Sir Alex. You know, this is a very, very bang average mid-table, but still a Premier League side, so they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I watched this game, and Grimsby, I thought, were unlucky not to be 3-0 up at one point. I thought that a goal that was disallowed for offside was incredibly harsh, and I would probably say that was the wrong decision, but they got through in the end despite Clark-Ador seeing his penalty saved by Andre Onana. They also, before that one, then had a 1-1 draw away at Accrington Stanley. Again, Grimsby have dominated possession. I think they're a heavily possession-based side, which will definitely suit us going into tomorrow's game. They had more shots, same amount of shots on target. This Jays KB, I think they've brought in from non-league. He scored a couple of goals so far this season, but they couldn't hold on for all 3 points, as Tyler Walton would pull a goal back for the hosts in the second half. Before that match then, they had a 1-0 win away at Walsall. Evan Corey scoring the only goal of the game, and it was total domination really from the Mariners, better than the Saddlers in pretty much every statistic. And this Corey, I think he wears a number 8 shirt, was a very impressive player in the couple of games that Bradford played against Grimsby last season, especially at their place. And then just before that one, they had a 2-1 win at home to Newport County, scoring in the first minute and the 94th minute. Again, looking at the stats, total domination from Grimsby. I think they'll certainly be in and around that top 7, maybe even the top 3 come the end of the campaign. They've got a good manager. They've already had a good squad there from last season. I think they've recruited quite well this summer, so it's certainly not going to be an easy game for us tomorrow whatsoever. Before we do go any further though with today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 120 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What's your score prediction for this match? What would your starting 11 be as well? In terms of my score prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 to Bradford City. Let's move on then to my starting 11 for this game. I would stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. I think we're certainly going to see a lot of changes for this one. We've put in quite a big physical outload on to Saturday's game against Wimbledon. We've got Doncaster away in the league on Saturday as well, so obviously them 2 matches have to be our main priority, but you still need 4 qualifying players to start this game or you get a £5,000 fine. I've just been having a read of the EFL trophy rules. I mean, even if we don't, £5,000, it's not the end of the world really, but you'd rather not have to pay that. So basically you need 4 players who either started the last match or who'll start the next match. And then there's a couple of other rules in there which are a little bit more complicated to understand, like you can have a player would count as a qualifying player if they're on loan from a Category 1 academy side, which just gets complicated. So I've just gone with 2 players who have started the last game and 2 more players who I would like to see start on Saturday. Let's get into my team then. In goal, I would go with Joe Hilton. I feel like if he's not going to play in the EFL Trophy, then whenever is Hilton going to play? Obviously, got a couple of minutes in pre-season, and I would say his distribution looked a little bit shaky at times, but it was a very, very limited amount of football that Joe Hilton did play. And obviously, Sam Walker has had an outstanding start to the season. I think he's certainly improved since we've got a proper backup goalkeeper and it's not just your 40-year-old goalkeeping coach. But I'd like to see Joe Hilton play in a proper competitive fixture like this match against Grimsby and see what he is all about. In terms of my back 3 then, obviously recently we have picked up a few knocks and injuries, all that sort of stuff, but at right centre back I would start with George Goodman. Now on the lineup builder that you can see next to me, George Goodman isn't on there, so we've got Owen Goodman in at the moment. I don't know if I'll Photoshop George Goodman over Owen Goodman because that sounds like a lot of work for a third channel video, but I'll probably do it because I appreciate your support. But for me, with the lack of centre-halves that are available, George Goodman signing his first year pro in the summer, there's a reason why he's got experience with Ireland's under-19s, I want to say, and you know, when better of an opportunity is George Goodman going to get than when you've got a little bit of an injury crisis at the back and you need somebody to step into the side? He's a homegrown player, come through our academy, so why not give him a go in this game? Because we've got more than enough experience in the rest of the team. In the middle of my back 3, I would go with Aidan Baldwin. Just with Joe Wright recently returning from a couple of weeks out, I think it would be a little bit silly to have him start the last couple of matches, then start this game and then start the next one on Saturday. I don't think Joe Wright was particularly amazing, but Baldwin for me, I think if he plays in the middle of that back 3, he could certainly use his experience to talk Goodman through the game and help him obviously with what would be his first professional appearance. And as my left centre back, I would go with Kieran Kelly. Obviously Curtis Tilt came off with some type of knock on Saturday with around 15 minutes left on the clock, but even if Tilt was available, I think I would still give Kelly another opportunity. These are exactly the type of games where Kelly needs to be playing to get back up to full match sharpness, because I think in the games that he's played so far, he was good against Blackburn, but then first half against Stockport was quite poor. First half against Stoke, I thought as well, was quite poor. So he needs to start cutting these mistakes out of his game if he wants to be playing regularly again in the league once more. But I do think there is a good player in Kieran Kelly. We just need to see it back again towards the kind of first half of last season where he was consistently good. But obviously he's had a couple of big injuries since then, so I do hope that he can get back to his best and hopefully he can play very well in this one. In terms of my midfield four then, I would make a full change to this midfield four. At right wing back, I would bring in Brad Halliday. Obviously, Halliday played last Tuesday against Stoke. Nerthville got to start on Saturday against Doncaster, and Halliday for me thoroughly took his opportunity against Stoke. I thought he was very good in that game. Obviously scored a goal as well, which is always going to be a bonus for him, but I think he's a very solid, reliable, dependable player, and especially against League 2 opposition, there's not many better wing-back options that you can have than somebody like Brad Halliday. I think he's looked very good in that game, and I'd like to see him get some more minutes again in this one. In terms of my two holding midfielders then, firstly I would go with the captain for this game, and that would be Alex Patterson. Obviously not included in the matchday squad on Saturday because he's picked up a little bit of a knock against Stoke and then didn't train for the rest of the week, so it's nice to see him come back in for selection for this game. And I think again with Power and Lee having a big physical output on Saturday, I would make changes in those positions. As partner in Patterson, I would bring in Jensen Metcalf. Again, these two last season rips apart a number of different League 2 sides, and obviously we don't really have a physical player in that type of partnership. Obviously we've seen Metcalf play with both Max Power and Tommy Lee. We've seen Patterson play alongside Max Power. I don't think he's played alongside Tommy Lee yet, but it'll be interesting to see what Patterson and Metcalf could bring. We know about Patterson's pressing ability, we know about Metcalf's technical ability as well, and I think them two as a partnership against what isn't a particularly physical Grimsby midfield could work very well for us. And as my left wing back, I would go with Tyreek Wright. I think Ibu Toure has certainly earned a rest. I'm pretty sure he's played every minute of football so far, and while he's looked pretty comfortable in doing so, I feel like if we continuing just to churn him out Saturday, Tuesday, I feel like in the EFL Trophy, it's not necessarily the most important thing to be just slogging Ibu Toure out, especially with Lewis Richards currently being unavailable. And I know left wing back's obviously not Tyreek Wright's best position. He plays much better in a front three, but you kind of got to do what you got to do. He can play as a left wing back, and I think with Ibu Toure playing a lot of football recently, it makes sense just to give him a little bit of a rest for this game. In terms of my front three then, firstly, as my right attacking midfielder, I would go with Anthony Sarcevic. Obviously, he's not played that much football recently. He has largely been used as a substitute with him obviously having that illness that he picked up recently. But I think if we're probably going to start him against Doncaster on Saturday, it's important that he gets around about an hour or so under his belt. And again, with George Lapsley playing a lot of football recently, it does make sense to give him a little bit of a breather for this game. It's not the biggest breather because I've got him on the bench and I'd have him coming on again after around half an hour or so. But Sar starts for me on the right hand side, and as my left attacking midfielder, I would go with Nick Powell. Obviously he has only played as a striker in his two substitute appearances so far, but if we want him to build him up and get him more football and get him kind of more match minutes under his belt, then he needs to be starting a game like this. And again, see how long that he can get through. Can it be 60? Can it be 70 minutes? Because obviously he's only had 2 15-20 minute cameos so far. Well, no, actually no, he played about half an hour or so, didn't he, on Saturday? So he played 15 minutes or so against Stoke, half an hour on Saturday against Wimbledon. So now I think he's got to be aiming for at least an hour, maybe pushing for 70 minutes depending on how the game is going. But I think there's going to be a good player in Nick Powell. We've seen it already. He played a big part in our third goal on Saturday, hunting down and pressing very well, and I do think he'll prove to be a great signing for us. And as my striker then, I would go with Stephen Humphreys. Again, you need a certain amount of qualifying players, and for me, there's no doubt in my mind that Will Swan has to start on Saturday against Doncaster Rovers. You cannot have a man on the bench who scored 5 goals over a man who scored 1 tap-in so far. And I like Stephen Humphreys. I think he will come good for us, but I think I like what I see more from Will Swan. I think he leads the line much better. I'm not convinced on Humphreys as a striker. We saw the one opportunity where Humphreys was playing off the left on Saturday, took on Joe Lewis, got a ball in, and that's where our second goal does come from. So I would personally like to see Humphreys start playing off the left a bit more. It's not going to happen. Alexander's made it very clear Humphreys will only play as a striker, but I think our best front three is going to be Poynton, Humphreys and Swan. But Humphreys wants to play as a striker where Swan plays, and then maybe if you play Humphreys off the left, that's where Poynton wants to play. So it is all a little bit confusing at this moment in time. But to clarify then with my team, your 4 qualifying players would be Aidan Baldwin and Stephen Humphreys, who both started in the last game. Then you'd also have Alex Patterson and Anthony Sarcevic, who I want to see start in the next game. Obviously, if Tilt's injured, then Kelly could be one of them players, but I think there's more than enough in this team to qualify as your 4 qualifying players. Hopefully, anyway. On the bench then for me, that would leave Zach Hady, Josh Nerfville, Curtis Till, Max Power, George Lapsley, Bobby Poynton, and Andy Cook. There is a real possibility that he will be on the bench tomorrow, and I'd like to see him get 15 minutes, half an hour, who knows how long that he is going to get. But obviously, Graham Alexander was asked about it. The TNA have done an article, and I think Alexander, I can't remember the specific quote, but I think it was like, possibly, I think was the answer, that Andy Cook could be included tomorrow. So how nice would it be to see him return and maybe score against one of his former clubs, where their fans normally give him a lot of stick, but it obviously, at the time of recording, it is 9 months to the day since his ACL injury. I didn't think he'd be back until around the beginning of October, because obviously it took until nearly the end of January for him to actually have his surgery. So obviously it's 9 months usually post-surgery, not 9 months post-injury. But fair play to Andy Cook. I think he's going to come back and score a lot of goals for Bradford City this season. The players currently unavailable then are Matt Pennington, who's still a bit of a doubt with his ankle. Neil Byrne, who's still probably a couple of weeks away. Same can be said about Lewis Richards and probably also Callum Kavanagh as well. So at the time of recording, this is Bradford City squad, which is around 3 p.m. The players who miss out then through selection will be Sam Walker, Joe Wright, Ibu Torre, Tommy Lee, Will Swan and Tyler Smith, who I would anticipate come the end of the transfer window is no longer a Bradford City player. But at the time of recording, he is still. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there then for today's video. If you have enjoyed, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well. If you are new, can we try and hit 120 likes on today's video? And don't forget to get your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Let me know down below your starting 11 for this match and also your score prediction as well. As I said earlier, I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Bradford City. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you very soon for another one.